Today's poll question is brought to you by the all-new 2017 Honda Ridgeline. Not only is this truck innovative, it's got the most roomy, comfortable cabin in its class. As a matter of fact, it's got the most spacious interior you can imagine. Head into your local Honda dealer today to test drive the Ridgeline. Chris Brockman, read the poll question for our Pro Football Hall of Fame friend, guest, my NFL Game Day compadre, for whom you segment produced for an entire year.
My man.
2014.
What's up, Marshall?
Marshall Faulk here.
How you doing, buddy?
Chris Brockman, former Marshall Faulk Game Day morning segment producer. What's the poll question?
Newly retired player you'll miss most in 2016. Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, Marshawn Lynch, Charles Woodson.
Oof, man. I mean, it's easy for me. It's Peyton. He kind of changed the position and how we thought about quarterbacking. I would go with Peyton because then we don't know like the next group of young quarterbacks. Are they going to live up to that?
Well, wouldn't you say that you wouldn't include Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, et cetera, in that class?
They're the group that's next. But there's a young group that when we were looking at, and I was explaining this to somebody yesterday, when we were looking at Elway, Marino, those guys, we didn't know if the guys that were next, that were, there was another group that was still playing in the league,
at
like Favre. They were in the league. They were playing, and okay, they could be look like they're going to be stars. But then there's that young group.
So who would you include?
Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck fits into that. Derek Carr fits into that.
Cam
fits into that. Russell fits into that. It's what are they going to bring us? And I'm gonna say this. It's crazy because we base everything off Super Bowls, or I should say Michael Irvin does. Beyond just winning Super Bowls, what are you going to do in this league that's going to say, boy, I want to watch this guy play?
And so you don't think Cam and Russell have already achieved that? I mean, Luck.
I'm okay with watching them play. I mean, I'm not going to pay and go sit my butt in a real seat and watch them play.
Really?
No.
Not Cam?
No.
I'm surprised to hear that.
But I'm fascinated by what they do. I'm talking about actually sit down with regular fans and get bothered and ask questions about that guy that's playing out there.
Why do you say get bothered?
Because I want to watch the game. I don't want to answer their questions.
You're a man of the people.
I am. But when I'm sitting down and I pay for the ticket, I want to watch the game like you.
Okay. So I'm surprised. You wouldn't pay to see Cam Newton play football, Marshall. He is.
I love watching Cam play.
On television.
Yes.
So who would you pay to play, to watch
Aaron
play?
Rodgers. I believe he and Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they do things that make the game mentally. How I look at the game, I'm like fascinated by it. Because there's a lot of things going on in the quarterback's mind that they have to take care of before the play even start, let alone, okay, let's make this play work.
Marshall Faulk here on the Rich Eisen Show. So is this part of what we're seeing out of, say, the issue with Goff? Now, you've called games for the LA Rams this preseason because what drives me crazy, and I know it drives you crazy, is what you see at the collegiate level where quarterback gets up there, stands there, looks at the defense, and then turns directly perpendicular 90 degrees to the sideline to say, what do I do?
Yeah.
They're told what to do,
yeah.
Then they turn back and execute the play.
Yep.
And so now you're saying you want to pay to see guys who are already moving pieces around because they're in control.
There you go.
And we don't see kids ready-made for that in the NFL. It used to be they were ready-made for that, but the issue was play action pass. They have to turn their back to the defense and then turn back around. And then that was kind of the adjustment with the speed of the game that they have to make. Is that a problem?
It is a problem, but I don't think that's Jarrett's problem. I just believe that the Rams, they're fortunate to not have to play him, and he's just not ready, Rich. That's it. Is he a talent?
Oh boy,
is he going to be good?
You didn't finish that answer.
I'm just saying, is he a talent? Yes.
Okay.
Is he going to be good? No doubt. But right now, he's not ready. And it's and
why
they are
not
liking it.
Why is he not ready?
He's just not. He's just not. He's just. If I was spending every day with him in the coaching, in the meetings with him,
yes,
to like hear what they're telling him, and then watching it on the field, so I can then say, "Wow, this is why I'm not in there." So I can't say exactly why he's not ready. But based on what you need to be able to do as an NFL quarterback to say start day one, like the guys we saw go first or second or early and start, he doesn't have that yet.
Well,
now,
yeah,
that's not bad because Aaron Rodgers didn't have that yet. And it took him a while to get it.
I remember where we saw the it for the first time.
Yes.
Where we were in one of the end zones, back of the end zone in the old Texas Stadium.
Yep.
For Thursday night game. It was Favre versus Romo, week after Thanksgiving, 2000, I'm going to just say 7?
Maybe 7 or 8.
And he came in for an injured Favre, and we all looked at each other and go, whoa.
Right.
12 can play.
Yes. And that's and
so you don't think though that week one, let's say Favre was hurt, week one of Aaron Rodgers coming out of Cal, right out of the box, 24th overall selection from the same school that Goff came from, first overall selection. You don't think Rodgers would have looked that same way?
He would not have looked the way he looked when we saw him for the first time. No.
So then what's the deal with Wentz, right? Why? Because I think that's what a lot of folks, certainly around here in Southern California, or Rams fans or Goff fans, are having their trouble wrapping their arms around is, why is Goff not ready first overall?
Yeah,
and Wentz breaking his ribs after 6 series in preseason is deemed to be ready by the Eagles instead of Chase Daniel week one after trading Bradford away.
It's called job security.
From who?
Jeff Fisher is coaching in the last year of his contract. Mm-hmm. They need to start well. Even if they are working on an extension, let's say the Rams go 0-4. How do you explain giving him an extension to your fan base? Right? Mm-hmm. Now, in Philadelphia, you have a situation with Doug Peterson to where he knows that he has a certain amount of time that this quarterback needs to be ready to play before his contract is up, and he needs an extension. This guy needs to be ready to play. So they're going to give him a couple of years of losing with the young quarterback in Philadelphia before they decide that he has to go.
So you think Jeff Fisher, if he had more years on his contract right now, might be throwing Jared Goff out there?
I mean, I would. I'm telling you, I would.
Unless he's not ready, though, right?
Now,
yes.
Even if he's not ready, I still believe he has to see some action. Now, I would do exactly what they're doing. I would start Case Keenum. Let's see how good this team is going to be. Let's see how hot we can get. Let's see what we have. Okay, we're 0-4. Get in there, rookie.
Marshall Faulk here on the Rich Eisen Show. Back in 60 ticks of the clock, I want to ask you if you think Bradford can start in week one. What's going through? What is the adjustment he has to make 8 days removed from the season and get up to speed in terms of starting this weekend?
Right.
And also your take on Calvin Johnson that you dropped on NFL Network the other night. If for those who haven't heard it, you got to hear that. That's coming up next in the Honda Insider segment with Marshall Faulk, coming up in just 60 ticks of the clock here on the Rich Eisen Show. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. He's known in my household as Uncle Marshall. But here he is known as Pro Football Hall of Famer and my compadre from NFL Game Day Morning. We are going on the air at 5 Eastern.
5.
For 2.5 hours. It's me, you, Mooch, and Irv.
Yep.
The network sent Kurt Warner to Denver with Terrell Davis.
Yes.
Where are you most popular? TD can part the ocean in Denver.
Most popular.
You got Indianapolis. I'm trying to figure out. You've got San Diego because you're Mr. San Diego State. You went to Indianapolis.
Yep.
The Chris Command Center has personally witnessed your popularity in that town where you got drafted. St. Louis.
Yep.
Where you had the 2-8 up there. Have you? And your 2-8's up in the Coliseum now, right? Is it there yet?
I didn't even. I wasn't.
You even looked around there yet?
Yeah, I called the game and I was like so focused on the fans and just how the experience was.
Well, your 2-8's going to go up in the Coliseum with Deacon 75.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Don't forget New Orleans.
And then there's New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's right. Where you're from.
Yeah.
Where
I would probably say New Orleans.
That was in.
It's just that's the roots right there.
I've seen that.
It's different. It's not fanfare. It's like I'm family. You know, it's like that's our family. Everybody. It's a different kind of atmosphere for me when I'm home compared to when I'm in the cities that I played in. I'm not as much this athlete. I'm more of a, son of the city.
And you sold popcorn in
I did.
in the Superdome.
I did, Rich. I did.
So somebody in what season of Saints could have bought popcorn from you?
Let's see. Late 80s. So 88, 89.
I love when Dion just looks at you and he screams out, "Popcorn!"
I did, man.
Do you want to give me a quick? What did it sound like?
That was my football experience. That's how I got to see live games.
And then Jim Mora was your coach, right?
Yeah, he was.
He
was not only the coach of the Saints, but then he was my coach when in Indianapolis. So it was fun, man.
What does it sound like?
Popcorn. Got to be a little louder than that. Normally,
when you sold it, what did a bag of popcorn cost at the Superdome?
Like $1.25, $1.25.
Did people tell you to keep the change?
Always.
Okay.
Always. You got to always have that quarter so you can get that 75 cents. You can't just sell popcorn for $1 or $2. There's always got to be some silver in.
So you walked out with a whole bunch of quarters, is what you're saying?
No, you never had change.
Oh,
That's what you do.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
So
you always say you didn't have change. Even when they give you change back, the next person you tell them you don't have change. That's just how it goes, Rich. That's how you make tips. That's how you make tips.
You were honing your trademark intellect.
Hey, man.
Selling popcorn in the stands of the Superdome.
I was taught by some of the best popcorn vendors there were.
Let's get into this Honda Insider Report right now here on the Rich Eisen Show with Marshall Faulk. Sam Bradford, what is his learning curve right now? What is he going through to go from the Peterson offense in Philadelphia, the Andy Reid offense in Philadelphia, to all of a sudden be thrown into the Norv Turner offense in Minnesota to get ready? What's he going through?
First of all, Peterson's West Coast, and I believe that was his first time in a West Coast type of offense. I'm going to say he had something similar with Pat Shurmur when Shurmur was the coordinator in St. Louis, before Shurmur went to Philly, before he now is in Minnesota, which now Bradford has followed him there. But if I'm thinking about all the coordinators he's been through, the fact that he has Shurmur there to kind of like guide him through the similarities of what this is. And I'm going to say that he has one of the best quarterback whisperers. I know we talk about Bruce Arians in this like this, but Norv Turner, Norv is unbelievable at helping quarterbacks get the most out of what they have. And I think he's going to be able to call plays and be effective. He won't be able to make adjustments, changing plays, putting them in the right plays. They'll be stuck with call it, run it plays, and that's it. So, if he plays compared to Sean Hill.
So would you play Sam Bradford against the Titans?
If he can get us lined up and do what he needs to do, yes, because getting him up to speed is going to help this offense a lot more than Sean Hill. And I'm only saying this because I know knock on Sean Hill. Listen, man, you've made a lot of money as a backup in this league. But I've seen this story before. Sean Hill will look great. He'll come in for your starter if he gets hurt. And then those interceptions, they come. And they come at a rapid pace.
So, but if he can give you one good game, maybe you do this now and Bradford.
It's not about one good win with Sean Hill is not worth getting Bradford the experience in his offense with the receivers, the running back in this system. It's just not worth it.
So do you think Bradford's going to start Sunday against the Titans?
I don't know where I don't know if he can get it, if he can get everybody lined up. He should be able to understand the terminology. They run the same offense we ran, which is
where?
In St. Louis.
Okay.
They run Norv and Mike Martz ran the same offense. They worked together in Washington before Mike came to St. Louis when I got there. And that system, I found out of all the systems, the different systems that I ran, it's a number system. So if you call a play, the play is let's go I right. You call a protection 585. So there's a 5 here, 8 here, 5 here, and then you tag it telling the backs to swing or hook or curl. That's easy for a quarterback compared to the West Coast system. 2-jet flanker drive. I mean, you just know the flanker doing the drive. Everybody else has to remember what they're doing, and you have to remember what they're doing instead of understanding how the system is called.
That's why we've got a Honda Insider Report with Marshall Faulk here on the Rich Eisen Show. That's giving you the insider stuff right there. Let's talk about Calvin Johnson not being in Detroit, everybody says that's the reason why the Lions have no shot. You are taking the exact opposite take.
Yeah.
You put them in the playoffs.
I think it's going to make their quarterback better.
How?
It's that thing when you have a guy like Calvin Johnson, and let's say you throw in the ball 20 times. People say, and you lose. People say, well, you got to throw the ball to some other receivers. Let's say you throw him the ball 5 times and you lose. Why are you not throwing the ball to Calvin Johnson? You really can't win, Rich. There's no winning in that situation. And I feel like Matthew Stafford, at times, he just got stuck on Calvin so much. But now you throw Marvin Jones into the mix. Golden Tate is ready. He's like, I talked to him. He said, Marshall, I am ready to be a number 1 receiver and get my credit for it. I was like, wow, that is everything. And then every receiving core that Anquan Bolden has been a part of, they have been good. I mean, even with the Niners, I mean, they were a pretty good, darn good receiving core. And then you throw what Amir Abdullah can do out the backfield. I just think that if this defense can just get stops at times, that this offense is going to be better. I think Matthew Stafford is going to be a better quarterback because now, he's going to look at the whole field. It's not going to be drop back, let me find Calvin first, and then let's see who else is open.
So the Lions are in the playoffs in 2016.
I believe they are. I believe the Honolulu Blue will be in the playoffs.
Well, that would be something. I know you put the Redskins out in the segment.
Yeah.
And then Marshall, we watched Mooch put the Giants in and take the Vikings out. So you think that the Vikings are out because the Lions are in,
I think there's going to be a tough one for the Vikings to get through. There's not many teams lose their starting quarterback in the preseason and then find themselves in the playoffs, or let alone win the Super Bowl. You got to be special to do something like that, Rich.
So who wins tonight, Marshall?
I'm going with Carolina, and I'm telling you, I think it's still a close game. I just can't imagine Cam Newton in another press conference answering the questions that he couldn't answer during Super Bowl. But this time, he didn't lose to a surefire Hall of Famer. He's losing to a guy who didn't even have a good record at Northwestern.
No, come on. Law brought that up in the opening
I'm just saying,
segment.
Rich,
come on, you've played with Kurt Warner. You never know.
Rich, I know you never know, but I'm just saying, in this game, like Kurt had actual film in some league, whether it was Arena, whether it was World Football League, and we knew kind of, okay, this is what this guy can or cannot do.
So you're saying Trevor Siemian doesn't have Amsterdam Admirals film, and that's a reason why he's got no shot tonight?
Yes. Yes. That is exactly it. Do you understand how hard of a game this is for him to just, yes, you have a ring, but you weren't a part of this for real. And now you go from, you have no shot helping this team to win except what you do at scout team to, hey, we need you to help us win the game. Who, me? He like, who, me?
Marshall Faulk, the Insider Report, brought to you by Honda, sponsored by the all-new 2017 Honda Ridgeline. Again, it's comfortable, it's roomy, it's innovative, it's the perfect tailgate truck, it's the most spacious interior in its class. Head into your local Honda dealer today to test drive the Ridgeline. I want you to stay one more segment if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Okay, because do you have the sound coming out of New York, Mike Del Tufo? Do you have that sound coming out of New York City?
I actually still have it, yes.
Okay, this is the sound when the ball meets the bat for the New York Mets, or a particular member of the New York Mets organization. Go for it, Drew. That's the sound of Tim Tebow hitting a baseball. And I want to ask you a question about Tim Tebow's ability to hit a baseball.
Okay.
And your thoughts on that subject.
Do you have his workout?
We've got some of his workout.
Okay.
We've got some of his workout.
Because I didn't see a ball go up.
That's next here on The Rich Eisen Show with Marshall Faulk. Mike Evans and Seth Wickersham, and your phone calls at 844-204-RICH still to come. Welcome back to The Rich Eisen Show. Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be joining me in hour number 2. We'll take your phone calls on the Courtyard Fan Hotline, so call 844-204-RICH. We've got a couple of phone lines open right now, so get in while the getting is good. Marshall, did you ever play baseball?
I did. I was drafted by the Angels.
You were?
Yep.
What'd you play?
Well, in high school, I pitched and played first base because that enabled me to run track. You don't need to be involved in a lot of the defensive stuff.
Sure.
But I played center field when I was in college.
Center field.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you grew up a Braves fan because that was
Big
the
time.
superstation
Big
down
time,
there
yeah.
in New Orleans, right?
Yep,
Okay.
big time.
So you watching Skip Carey on TBS and all that sort of business.
Yeah, we're going through the Braves. We're going through a minor league kind of time right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying guys out. We'll trade for your guys if they at the end of their contract, so you can take some of our guys.
So what do you think Tebow's going to do for the Mets organization? The Mets, by the way.
I mean, just give them attention. You know,
you don't think he's doing this because he really wants to play baseball?
Oh, Tebow wants to do something other than the home improvement show. I mean, you know,
What home improvement show
he was
you
doing
talking
some
about?
fix this house something. I forget what it was. Some house. I don't remember what it was.
It's the SEC network. I don't think.
Well,
it
he
was
did that, but he also
DIY.
was on some like.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on some home improvement show.
When you were going from the Colts to the Rams, could you have said, I'm done with football and pursued baseball? And do you think you would have made it in the pros?
I don't know. That's a good question. I doubt it because I didn't love baseball. I just played it because my friends played it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love, and I always say, guys that are successful at like a sport and they don't love it because what it takes to be successful is unbelievable. What you have to put into it.
I'll never forget when it may have been that trip that we talked about going to Dallas for that Packers Cowboys game when we went to Dion's house and he was taking us through his quote unquote closet, which was as big as a Men's Warehouse.
Yeah.
And we were on story 1 where the shoes were, I think. Or was it story 2 where the shoes were?
Shoes were on 1.
And then the suits were on 2.
Suits were on 2.
And
other clothes were in the back of 1.
Right. And then there was a plexiglass ceiling of 1 and the plexiglass floor of 2, so he could hold up the suit over the shoes or vice versa to see if they matched.
Right.
And then we're walking out of the closet. Do you remember what you muttered to me as we're walking out? You said, "This is."
Oh, yeah, that's baseball money. That's baseball money. Yes.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
This is baseball money.
It is.
what
It
you
is.
said
I
to
mean,
me.
just think about what A-Rod got paid to leave. I'm just saying, and he's listen. This, and I don't mean this. I love Albert Pujols. It's gonna happen to Albert Pujols. A lot of guys are going to not be playing, making this kind of money. They'll find themselves out of baseball, making this kind of money.
What'd you think of the Breeze contract? Because this is an end game scenario for Breeze and the Saints that's playing out right now. What'd you think of that 1 year plus 1? I mean, that kind of makes sense for a 37-year-old guy, right?
You know, Breeze could probably he could have went somewhere else after this year, but he loves New Orleans, and he understands that they want to get better. And they can't get better with his cap number being $30 million.
It's insane. It would have been $43 million for the franchise tag.
Right. You just can't. You can't get better as a team. I mean, how do you walk in the locker room and expect the? Right now, serious. I was in Sulphur Springs, and I'm watching their practice, and I'm a Saints fan. I grew up in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I didn't
Popcorn.
know. Other than Brandon Cooks and what's the guy Willie Snead? I didn't know the other receivers. No idea. None. Yeah. And I was like, that's Kobe Fleener. Okay, he came here too. They just don't have enough money, and they're not in that kind of market to pay players. And defensively, boy, they're just young.
Well, your chat with Drew Brees is on game day morning coming up in week 1 at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I've got 40 seconds left. Your Super Bowl pick is who? What's your Super Bowl pick?
Man.
What'd you say the other night?
I think the rematch of Super Bowl 43, I think, is Arizona-Pittsburgh. And I like Arizona this time. I feel like Carson is going to get in the playoffs and remember how to play a quarterback, be a quarterback. Last year was just,
oh boy,
that was.
I think he was hurt. I think he hurt his finger in that Philadelphia loss. That Philadelphia loss that knocked Tyrann Mathieu out for the year and was through Arizona.
I
for a
hope so,
loop.
Rich, because what I saw versus Green Bay and Carolina,
not so good.
Whoa,
no bueno.
Boy,
I'll see you up to 4:05.
Yes,
for later on for NFL.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Please.
I appreciate it.
I love you. Thanks for coming on. You're supposed to say "I love you too" back. That's
I
right.
do,
Okay.
I do, but
Thanks, Marshall.
I don't have to say it just because you said it.
Hour number 2 coming up. Thanks for coming on, Marshall.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.